I'm Charlie Rymer, and this is the Charlie Rymer Golf Show, powered by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com. All right, folks, we're going to start the Charlie Rymer Golf Show just right in the middle of a lesson. Thrilled to be joined with my longtime buddy, Colt Ford, and we've known each other going back to junior golf days. And before we jump right in, I got to tell you, Colt, I appreciate all our special guests that come on. We've had Jack Nicklaus, we've had Peter Jacobson. Thrilled to have you. But I give all our guests a very special guest. A very special gift.
Ooh.
And right now, I'm not real sure where you are. I don't even know that I want to know where you are. But the most precious substance on the planet right now, are you ready for this?
Yeah. Please send it.
You know, the interesting thing is a run on toilet paper. And 2 days ago, I am quarantined like everybody else. I do get a chance to get out of the golf course, but it's hard to get the normal stuff, as we know. But
Right.
I read where it's really hard to get clippers to give yourself a haircut. So I went into Target. I couldn't get them. I got online. I couldn't get them. Everything's back ordered to like July. So
Oh,
I'm
really?
getting that quarantine haircut going. You've always had the quarantine haircut.
Well, my hair is luscious and long and lovely.
Yeah.
You don't have that, so I mean,
Exactly.
it is crazy. But I think saying that, I went and got some. Walgreens was full of them when I went to I've been in 2 Walgreens and clippers and all stuff all covered up in there.
Well, Amazon doesn't have it until like August of 2023, so I'm gonna look like you by then. Maybe I'll be as sexy as you are by then.
We ain't got that kind of quarantine time.
All right, so I was putting together this timeline, and it's you and I over the years, and it starts with junior golf. Then you played Alex City Junior College for a couple of years, and you end up at Georgia. We played a lot of golf together when you were at Georgia, and I was at Georgia Tech. We played some mini tour golf together. We played some what's now the Corn Ferry Tour together. After that, you actually got into the PGA program. You were the assistant professional of the year in the state of Georgia, and back-to-back years you were teaching players like Blake Adams that made it to the PGA Tour. Then we got in a business together that failed spectacularly, and we're not going to get into that. And now you're a country music star. What doesn't fit in that timeline? I mean, I got to write a book about this. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
It's a little strange, there's no doubt, and we go back further than we probably care to tell. But I mean, I don't know. I've always fooled with music. I've always done it. I've always loved it. I've always written songs, and we've known each other so long. I've always been around it, fooled around with it, and it really probably has always been my first love. I was pretty good at golf. I could play pretty good. I played pretty good for a while.
Yeah, you did.
Able to make a living for a while, and you know how golf is, though. You make one putt there at tour school, and you go from playing for $10,000 to $1 million. But sometimes it happens, and you see guys that are can't miss guys, and that do, and you see guys that you think some guy from North Dakota State out there just beating people to death. But I just never could turn music off, Charlie. It just never went away for me in my mind, and even when I started saying what I was going to do as with our business, it was like, I'm going to try to do this, and you're like, you're out of your mind. I mean, like a lot of people said that, and I think I probably was. I mean, I was just too hard-headed to listen, and I just had to get it out of my system, and it just here I am 7 albums later, and I would have never I'd have never thought that would have happened, but I'm just completely humbled and appreciate what I get to do every day.
Well, I remember a couple things about you that really, well, there's a lot about you that stands out, but
everything, please.
a couple of moments. You told me out of the blue, we're talking about golf and this little business we had going and where we're going to eat lunch, and you go, oh yeah, I wrote this anthem for the Pro Bull Riding Tour. It's on NBC, on the weekends, and I'm like, the Pro Bull Riding what? And they got a tour, and you're like, oh yeah, they fill up coliseums, and I just happened in my spare time to write this song. It's gonna be their anthem. They're gonna start all their shows with it and all that, and I'm like, you're crazy. And that song, Buck 'Em, that's really what got you going, right?
Yeah, it's kind of what got it started. I just wrote it because I was really getting pestered to write it, and I wrote it, and, it just worked out, man. It's crazy. Randy Bernard was the CEO of PBR at the time, and Randy went on to be CEO of IndyCar, and now he's manager of Garth Brooks. So, but Randy loved the song, and I sent it to him, and he's like, this is awesome. We're going to use it. We open up at Madison Square Garden next year, the first time ever, New York City, bull riding, and he's like, this is going to be the theme song. And he texts me back, who did it? I mean, who is this? And I text back, me. And 2 seconds later, my phone rings, and I can't even say what he said, but he's like, you're full of, this is not, who is this? And I'm like, no, I swear this is me. Because all he knew was me about golf and playing golf and teaching golf, and it just, there it was. And that got me started, and then that's Colt Ford was kind of born, and here we are all these years later. It's crazy.
Well, and the other point on the timeline that stands out is you and I were sitting in some sort of truck in your dad's used car lot. God bless your dad. I love him to death, and you know that, and your mom too. And you're sitting there, and you've done Buck 'Em, and you're telling me some story about this and that, and how you listen to what the kids are listening to, and they're listening to rap, and they're listening to rock, and nobody's put them together. And you said I've written this song with a guy named Brantley Gilbert. He goes, listen to this, and you played it, and it was Dirt Road Anthem, which was Grammy nominated, was #1 with Jason Aldean for a long time. And honestly, the hair standing up on my arm when I'm telling this story, because that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Because I'm sitting there thinking, well, he did Buck 'Em. I mean, every now and then, a 20 handicapper makes a hole in one. That's what that was. And then all of a sudden and I listened to it, and I'm like, damn, that's good. That's got a chance. But I'll never forget that moment. That was just the coolest moment, you and I sitting in that truck.
Yeah, that was when you got that ridge line, you'd gotten that ridge line. We went and played golf somewhere, and it's crazy. You didn't know. Me and Brantley wrote that song. I just did an Instagram live with him the other day, and he's gone on to be one of the bigger stars of country music as well. But we were just kind of getting started, and we wrote the song in probably 30 minutes. We didn't have any idea that anybody in the world would care about what we're doing. And talk what we were talking about. We just thought it was fun, and we went on. Later that day, we were meeting to go write with Mike Deacle, who you know very well, who's a great friend. And
ain't no trash in my trailer you did with him, right?
Uncle Mike has been so good to me and Brantley. He kind of mentored us a little bit with songwriting, and he's written big hits for Kenny Rogers like Scarlet Fever and stuff. And we wrote this song before we went to lunch to go write with Mike, and we didn't have no idea. We went and wrote a song with Mike, and Brantley and I tried to recall. We spent 6 or 7 hours writing, and we don't remember what we wrote that day. We don't even remember what it was, but Dirt Road Anthem has gone on to be the biggest song of Aldean's career, and almost it probably within the next year or so will be 10 million. That's a platinum record to me, and 10 million is called good Lord, they call it Diamond. I think there's only been a few songs that have ever done that, and it's getting close to that. So who knew? Who knew?
And you're off to the races, and then. The next point on the timeline I want to talk to you about, I had a great friend of mine, now a great friend of yours too, Steve John. Steve runs the Monterey Peninsula Foundation for Clint Eastwood, who I believe is the chairman, and they run the AT&T Pebble Beach along with the Pure Insurance event on the PGA Tour Champions. And Steve called me and he said, tell me something about this Colt Ford. He goes, I heard you know him. I said, oh, you don't want to do anything with him. You don't have anything to do with it. No, I said.
I know that's not true. You got me in front of Steve.
Right. I just said he's the best, and you came out and played, and I said the other things I told Steve is I said, listen, Rudy Gatlin for a long time back in the 1940s. he's not that old, but back in the 80s and 90s, he was into the early 90s. He was the best celebrity golfer. Vince Gill, and Vince didn't play a lot of tournaments, but I played a lot with Vince. And Vince didn't, when Rudy got old, Vince was the best celebrity golfer. Jake Owen's a good player. Josh Kelly is a good player. But people ask me who's the best celebrity player. And that's what I told Steve. I said, Colt Ford is the best celebrity golfer. I said, are we talking about the same person? He's 5'2", a little over 200.
5'2".
Yeah. But he called me, your first round in the AT&T was over Monterey Peninsula, and you shot 6 under on your own ball was the report I got in your first round of the AT&T. How cool was that?
I wish I'd have never done it. Now I can't get enough shots. It sucks. I wish I'd have shot And I did a thing with Steve the other day, and you know, I don't know if I have, but thank you, because the reason I've played 6 AT&Ts is because you introduced me as, you opened the door for me there with Steve. He thinks the world of you, and he's become one of my dearest friends. And
he's the greatest.
It was so funny, though. I get done that day, and it was so cool. I was playing a little bit then, so I was hitting it okay. It's Monterey Peninsula. Place is phenomenal. The golf course is perfect. We teed off like 8 o'clock in the morning to 70 degrees of sun. He caught a great day. And I can reach the par fives. I'm hitting wedge into every hole. I'm only getting one shot. And all my old friends, Sherrick and Mickelson, guys, they're wearing me out. And I'm like, there's another guy that played with Pat Perez, I think. He's a 12, and he shot 76 for 3 birdies. I don't know what y'all are yelling at me for. At least I have a background, a history that I can do that. But I played with Billy Horschel that year, and when we walked off the 8th green on Saturday, he was leading the golf tournament, and we were leading the division, because Friday's round he shot 64 at Spyglass, and you and anybody knows that's ever played that.
That's the toughest one.
That's stronger than a garlic milkshake. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch. And when we walked off the 8th green, we were leading. When we walked off 18, we missed the cut by a shot, and he was in 40th. It was like, it was the most epic train wreck you have ever seen.
Sounds like our business we did together.
It was very similar to that. Very similar to that. And it was just, it's crazy, but I love playing that event. I've gotten to meet Mr. Eastwood and become friends with him and go play in his event that he holds at the Clint out at Tehama. That event is just such a special event. The people that you meet there, the friendships, the great super CEOs that make the world go around, that you can learn from and spend time with. And some of those younger players on the tour need to remember that. There's some guys there that make the world go around. It ain't about hanging out with me or Toby or Jake Owen or Darius. There's guys there you need to know. Doug McKenzie and Stu Francis, guys that are really, and it's just such a treat to be a part of it. Thank you so much for you opened the door. Steve and I became friends. He gave me a shot, and it's been really cool to be a part of it.
Hey, listen, all I did was just say, hey, just told him the truth. But I'm glad you mentioned Clint Eastwood. You and I were last together in January when we were shooting the Ace Shootout tournament that Ace Hardware does. It benefits Children's Miracle Networks out in Hawaii. And you put in a good word for me there, so that enabled me to get out there and with Steve Young host that event. I love doing it, but the thing that was most fun, it was like a half a day shoot, and we get to stay there for a week, this beautiful Mauna Kea resort. It's tough work.
Yeah.
Tough work. But you were telling me you had just spent some time with Clint Eastwood at Tehama. How was that to hang out with him?
I can't even it's surreal. I've been lucky. You and I both have met some of the biggest celebrities in the whole world, some of the coolest people, whether it be music, athletes, presidents, whatever. We've been lucky to be around. But Clint Eastwood was my dad's guy. He's my dad's guy, you know what I mean? So I remember the first time I saw him. Matter of fact, I saw you were playing. When I was a club pro, you were still playing. And I can remember Mizuno used to do a tournament following for all their club pros the following week from AT&T, and I'd brought a group out from Harbor Club, and that was the first. And you were playing. I remember I saw Sag. I saw Michael Clark was still playing. then, and I saw Clint for the first time up close in person. And I called my dad, like, right after he walked by, and I called him. I said, Dad, he doesn't walk. He floated by me. It looked like he was walking on an escalator. He's so cool. It looked like he was just floating. And to get to hang out with him, once you get to hang out with him, it's just, he's unbelievable. He's still so down to earth. He's still unbelievably funny. And I played as his partner. I got to play with him and Toby Keith. And Mel Schultz, who used to own the Diamondbacks and the Phoenix Suns, and him and Clint are really close. And 4 days with him is just like, I can't even tell you. I mean, it's just, he's unbelievable. He's so funny. And he's still like, I'm scared of him. I wouldn't want to take a swing at him. I mean,
you'd have to get on a stool to take a swing at him.
He's shrunk down a little bit now, but he's tougher than a 50-cent steak, I swear. He just...
Well, everybody thinks Clint Eastwood, the Dirty Harry movies. I liked all those, but we were probably, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade. The Any Which Way You Can, Any Which Way But Loose. Those movies came out, and I didn't see this, but our buddy Larry the Cable Guy tells me this happened.
Oh, I saw it.
Jim Nance, Larry the Cable Guy. You finish this story for me because I think Larry the Cable Guy had a really good point on this one.
Well, it was the first. That first event at Pebble, and Steve would ask about some other people because he knows I know a lot of guys and I'm one of those guys that just knows a lot of different people. I said, Larry the Cable Guy would be great. He's not great at golf. He loves golf. He's gotten a lot better. But sometimes, celebrities forget that it's not about them. It's about the fans, and it's about the people that support the tournament. I said, Larry gets it. He'll take every picture. He'll sign every autograph. And so we do all that, and we get around there on 17 on Saturday, and they got the booth set up on the famous 17th hole, and there's Jimmy Nance and Nick Faldo in there, and I've known Nick a little bit, and I've known Jim a little bit, not as well as you did from working with him, but Jim is as good as there's ever been when it comes to sports broadcasting. He'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But Jim's used to being in control. I mean, and he's very calm and relaxed. And the moment you give the microphone to Larry the Cable Guy, you are no longer in control. I mean, he is in control. And so for me, I'm just taking it in because Larry's got on a camouflage golf shirt with the sleeves cut off of it, which he says is from the Boo Weekly collection. And so, Jim and them and Nick, and Nick's British, so sometimes he doesn't get everything. And Larry's carrying on, and he goes, Colt and Clint have a long history. Clint was there, too. He said, Colt was a child actor, and I have no idea where he's going with this. And I'm looking at him going, oh, okay, but you can lie. Maybe they won't look it up or something. I don't know. He goes, Colt played the orangutan Clyde on Every Which Way But Loose. And I'm like, this is live network television. Like, millions of people around the world can see this. Which he proceeds to follow up with, it was Valentine's Day. And he proceeds to follow up with, Colt and I are selling kisses behind the 18th green. It's $25 for women and $10 for men, and Nance can't get us out of this booth fast. It was pretty funny. Pretty dang funny.
Well, Cable Guy, like I said, he had a pretty good point. Clyde the orangutan, his arms are just a little longer than yours. Other than that, it's perfect.
I could see some similarities. I would agree with that.
You mentioned Toby Keith. I hadn't spent any time with Toby Keith until this January when we were out in Hawaii with that A shootout. And after 5 minutes, I absolutely fell in love with Toby Keith. What an amazing personality. And he's at like 42 number ones or something like that. It's unbelievable what he's done in music, but you two guys seem to really get along well. Tell me a little bit about your friendship with Toby Keith.
He took me on tour several years ago. Took a chance with me. Didn't really, Toby is quite honestly he does in the country world what so many people don't realize how unbelievably talented this guy is. I mean, he could sit down with a guitar and play you 3,000 songs. I mean, he's just unbelievable. Oh, sorry. He is, and he took me on tour, and it was just, we just hit it off, man. I mean, you know, he's the big dog daddy. He says I can be the little dog daddy, I guess, but I mean, because he is about a foot taller than me. But he's mentored me a little bit. The friendship has been unbelievable. He'd be a great one to get on here. I mean, I'll try to set that up if you'd like to have him. He loves
tell him I got plenty of this. If he
I texted with him yesterday, and he says he's still converted. He's only texting in Spanish now because he's been in Cabo for like 5 weeks. He's like, I ain't coming home. I'm playing golf practice calls every day. And he's been great. He's unbelievable. He's so unbelievably talented. It's crazy. And he's been super good to me. And owns the golf course, loves it. His wife Trish, one of my favorite ladies I've ever met. She has a women's clothing line called Swing Dish that is really blowing up, being sold in Dick's and other big sporting goods stores. And they love the game. And, you know, it was cool. Toby, they had always wanted him to play Pebble. He never played before. And I kept trying to say, no, you got to play. He's like, I don't know. He thought it was really stuffy. I was like, you can smoke cigars and drink liquor walking down the fairway in a red solo.
Yeah, there you go.
And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, okay, I'm in then. And so, you know, he came and has been a part of it. And, you know, he's been a good friend to me and a good person. And like you said, you can't help. I mean, if you don't like that guy, heck, I think something's wrong with you, not him.
So you mentioned that Toby's mentored you with music, and I want our viewers to understand. People look at you now, and it's music doing great, number one hit, number one album. Everybody loves you, touring all the time. When the world gets back to normal, they think maybe golf is a hobby for somebody like you, but your intention was to be a golf professional, come up through the PGA program. And along with being a phenomenal teacher, you actually spent some time with TaylorMade as well. And that's when our late great friend Jim Flick was still around. And I know you had a chance to spend some time with Mr. Flick on the practice tee, and I know he mentored you some with teaching. Tell me a little bit about maybe some things that you learned from Jim Flick back in those days.
Another one of those guys. Like, I love teaching. I got a video. I don't even want to say who, from a professional today that sent me a video and said, take a look at this just real quick. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, but you have a good, like, natural eye, and I've played golf with him for a long time. And it's like, I love teaching, you know. I mean, you and I have worked together, but getting to work with Mr. Flick and Tom Ness, another one, is just, you know, all-time great teachers. And I loved it so much, and those were guys, like, if you approached them in the right way and they knew that you really wanted to learn and you really wanted to get better, they would do anything in the world for you. I mean, and Jim Flick is as great a gentleman in the game of golf as there's ever been. I mean, and it was the way that he taught, you know, it was the way that he talked to people. And what he really explained to me is, in teaching, obviously, some guys, you know, you get to work with, if you're really good, you can work with tour pros or really good amateurs, college players. That's all great, but a lot of times you got to still teach Mr. Haverkamp, Mrs. Haverkamp, you know, that are 35 handicappers and hit a 120-yard slice every time they draw it back. So how do you make them better? And the thing that I got the most from Mr. Flick, two things. One thing, he said, you can't be afraid to put your hands on them. And I know that might be a little weird in this day and age that we live in today, but it's like you have to be able to physically show them positions and everything. But the other thing he said, me talking to you about a golf swing, or something I say to you versus something I say to Mr. Smith, who's a 25 handicapper, you would take completely differently than he may understand it. And that's a little bit of the issue sometimes to me with some of the stuff that's on, you know, whether it be on Golf Channel or wherever, nothing against it, but sometimes people don't know how to decipher the information correctly. So when I'm talking to tour players, I can say things that they totally, like a 20 handicapper would take in a completely different direction. And understanding that really was a neat thing, and it made me understand. I've never been a very technical teacher, I guess because I'm not smart enough. I didn't go to Georgia Tech. You're a lot smarter.
You're not a technical player, though. It wouldn't make sense for you to be a technical teacher.
I was a field player, and even now, some of my buddies, like John Tillery, who's become one of the best teachers in the world, I talk John when he was trying to in college and when he was trying to play professionally. And that time is when I was teaching Blake Adams. I got him, kind of got him to the tour, got him with TaylorMade. And then when I went to do music and stuff, JT started teaching, and then he started teaching Blake, and he almost won the U.S. Open. And so it's fun to see how that's full circle. Our buddy Taylor Crosby, who from Athens, has become a great teacher. He's down there at Lake Oconee, and I went and had a lesson with him before Pebble Beach, and I'm going, wow, this is kind of real. I was helping Taylor when he was 12 years old, and now here he is trying to help me to get better. But the technology, things that we can see now with video and stuff that you didn't know before, we couldn't see, and the terms have changed. But it was great to be able to spend time with those great teachers and some of the people we got to hang around. I mean, you got me my deal with Peerless, Mr. Palmer's company, and I got to meet Mr. Palmer a few times, and I know you spent a lot of time with him, and those kind of things, especially now with what's going on, you sit back, reflect a little bit, and go, wow, it's pretty cool some of the stuff we've got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one more thing I will get to you with, but John Tillery, by the way, along with having PGA Tour winner Scott Brown and Kevin Kisner in his stable, just within the past few months, picked up a young man by the name of Ricky Fowler. So
I saw that.
Everybody is interested in talking to JT. The problem is that he's more redneck than me and you. I don't know that any of those guys can understand him. Well, Kisner can, but I don't know about Ricky.
Can, but yeah, I mean Ricky's California, so he might have to have an interpreter, because JT and Scott Hamilton, two guys from Georgia, are as big a country boy. I mean, like that. Some people might not understand what they say. You're right. I get that a lot too with me. Sometimes I have to change my dialect a little bit.
Understood. Well, in normal times, you tour a lot. You probably do in the neighborhood a couple hundred shows a year, don't you?
I think I did around 150 last year, but I love it. I love playing. I cannot get enough of being on the stage. I mean, it's just. I did a thing today with Justin Moore, who's one of my good buddies, who played, and he's a golfer, and we play a lot of music together, and we're just sitting there going, I miss the fans. I miss that feeling of walking on stage. Our fans give us all this hope and excitement, and our our band and our crew. I mean, my God, those are my family now, and I can't, we can't work. I can't see them. It's tough. And there's so much. I don't know if it's disinformation, false information. I mean, one expert saying one thing, other guy says he's an expert, he says something different. I mean, but there's some of that in golf too. You can draw some correlations to that. I've seen guys go do this, and this, and that guy plays pretty good, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, I'd never do that. I mean, that's terrible. So it takes all kinds and all things. Our good buddy Jim Furyk, who we grew up with, Jim and I grew up together. Our junior year, if you remember, he changed his golf swing because he was tired of people giving him a whole lot of junk about it, and he had a perfect golf swing his junior year, and he couldn't hit his butt with both hands. He was terrible. I mean, but he went back to original Jim Furyk and has won about $100 million since then. So, would you teach somebody to do that? I don't know, but it's what he did, and he does it very well, and still does it well.
You are who you are.
A lot of truth to that.
Colt Ford, we appreciate you spending some time with us. It's important for the folks out there that love music, love golf, love sports, to hear from the people that we love and respect, and we watch perform in tough times like this. And thank you for your time, buddy.
Man, it's unbelievable. I got a tattoo on my arm, and a few albums ago I had an album, and I ended up naming it after this tattoo. But there's 3 things you don't want to lose, and you definitely don't want to lose it right now, and that's love, hope, and faith. So we got to keep doing that. I appreciate your friendship all these years, and keep rocking, man. We'll get back out there. We just got to stay after it.
You got it. Love you, brother.
God bless you, brother. Thanks. Love you, man. See you.
See ya. Thanks for joining us. I'm Charlie Rymer. We'll see you next time on the Charlie Rymer Golf Show, powered by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com.